Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of the Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys stopping by to watch today's video. Always grateful for that. And we are going to be talking about bright colored jerk baits today, guys, when they work good, under what conditions, and when you want to throw them. And the thing that you're going to find out about talking about jerk baits, bright jerk baits, is there's a paradox, because sometimes they work really good, other times they don't work at all. And it doesn't make a lot of rhyme or reason a lot of times, but there is some foundational elements that you can go by based upon like the type of fish you're fishing for, the species of bass, conditions, that at times this is the colors you want to use. So that's the point of today's video. Also, guys, I'll leave my tackle warehouse link in the description if you guys want to pick you up some. I'll put a couple different links to some of my favorite jerk baits in there. And by using that link, it's a really good way by using the link and bookmarking it also, it's a good way to support the channel here. So much appreciated. Okay guys, bright jerk baits. Now when we're talking about bright, I'm talking about specifically colors like chartreuses and maybe white, something like that. Colors that really stand out from a distance. Let me give you guys an example of an opposite here. Of a bright jerkbait versus a not bright jerkbait. Here's like a translucent color here and the bright one next to it. And by the way, guys, this is that Megabass X Nanohan +1. This is my absolute favorite jerkbait for the winter time. So I'll put that link in the description if you guys want to try one there for Tackle Warehouse. Okay, guys, when do you want to use a bright one like this? When is it going to work better versus one that doesn't work better? A couple different things here. Again, it's going to be sort of sound like a paradox. Most of the time, when you want to use a bright colored jerkbait, even regardless for the species of the fish, if it's largemouth, smallmouth, or spotted bass, it is a situation where you consider the light levels. In general, the lower the light levels, the better the brighter colors is going to work out, simply because it's more visually noticeable to a fish. So if you're fishing water with a jerkbait that's a little bit off colored, maybe less than 3 foot of visibility, or if you're fishing a day that's cloudy or rainy or windy, or if you're fishing like early in the morning and late in the evening, a lot of times a brighter colored jerkbait like a chartreuse or bright white is going to get you more strikes under those conditions. Now this is especially true if you have a lake that's got a pretty big largemouth bass population. Say, for example, if you guys are fishing some of the TVA lakes like Lake Chickamauga or Lake Guntersville, where there's more largemouth than anything else, this could be a really good color under those conditions, under those low light conditions. Now, that is the obvious, because, when you're talking in terms of the senses that bass use to strike a jerkbait, you've got the sense of sight, visual appeal for it. Also, you've got some noise a little bit, water displacement, the profile. All those things play a factor in. But jerkbait fishing, color is probably more important in jerkbait fishing than any other lure category out there, because a lot of times a bass, especially if you're fishing the jerkbait slower, like jerk, pause, they have time to study the bait from up close, and a lot of times the color can make a big difference on there. So obviously in one scenario, low light conditions, off colored water is going to be when you want to throw this. Another time is in real clear water, if it's bright out, if you're fishing for smallmouth bass. Smallmouth bass are an outlier, and they will bite a bright colored jerkbait under the exact opposite conditions from when largemouth down south would bite it. So if you try to throw a bright colored jerkbait in clear water, say for example, Lake St. Clair, full of smallmouth up there, really clear visibility, you got 10 foot of visibility up there. If you try to throw this jerkbait in a largemouth lake that has 10 foot of visibility and it's a bright day, you're probably not ever going to get a bite on it. But if you throw this in 10 foot of clarity where there's smallmouth, they're going to eat it up even on a bright day. It's just something about the personality of the fish. So those are the sort of the two extremes on that. But another thing about the bright colored jerkbait there too is, like, if you can get them to hit a bright colored jerkbait, usually it's a larger fish. I don't know what it is about it, but if I'm fishing a chartreuse jerkbait, a bright one or a white one, I bet the average size of my jerkbait fish goes up a half a pound. I think a lot of it is because this thing does not look natural. It looks completely unnatural in the water. In order for a fish to bite a lure that looks unnatural, you can't rely like on just the fact that they're hungry. You have to rely on the fact that there's an element of aggressiveness or anger or curiosity that plays a role. And a lot of times those bigger fish can exhibit those behaviors, and chartreuse, a bright color like this, brings out the curiosity, anger, or different type of stimulus that allows bass to hit a lure. So most of the time you're going to catch bigger ones on the chartreuse lure or the bright colored jerkbait. Another time that a bright colored jerkbait is going to work good, regardless of the water clarity or the sky conditions, if you have a super hard wind. If you guys are out there one of those days where it's blowing 20, 25 miles an hour and it's so hard, it's blowing so hard, it's even hard to fish. A lot of times the bright colored jerkbaits will shine simply because there's so much water movement on the surface that breaks up that ability for those fish to feel insecure. The waves will actually make a fish feel more active and secure than if it's calm out there, and a bright colored bait will work a little bit better in there. And finally, guys, another tip I'll give you on fishing bright colored jerkbaits is you need to fish them a little bit faster than you would a traditional color. You don't really want them to get a good look at it. You want to try to trigger a reaction strike from the brightness of that lure from a distance. And if you can work that jerkbait just maybe a little bit faster than you would a normal color, that was also going to generate a few more strikes with it. But anyway, guys, get you a few on there. Like I said, there's definitely a place for them in your tackle box when they won't hit. Sometimes it just triggers them. Sometimes it is what the color they want. One of the things that I will tell you about the bright color on a jerkbait, it's like they're either really biting it good or they're not biting at all. There's not much in between with it there. It's like, all in or all out on that. So it's just another tool to have to your arsenal there. Just have a few in your box for situations I described, and it may pay off for you down the road. So thanks for tuning in, guys. See y'all.